Hello everyone and welcome to the Knowledge Channel, where we believe knowledge is the fundamental resource for every human endeavor. We pursue knowledge to gain understanding and develop the wisdom needed to tackle life's many challenges successfully. In this video, I will examine the dangerous and serious attitude of mocking God and the unpleasant consequences in the Bible and even in our time today. Mocking God is a serious matter. Mocking God involves treating God with contempt, disrespect, or irreverence to words, actions, or attitudes that diminish His authority, holiness, or truth. It involves rejecting or disregarding God's commands, misrepresenting His character, or challenging His authority as if He were powerless or insignificant. Mocking God can be direct through spoken words or indirect through actions and attitudes that contradict His will. Galatians 6:7 reads, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." Mocking God is not a light-hearted joke or a casual offense. When we mock God, we are not simply expressing disagreement or dissatisfaction. We are directly challenging His authority, His character, and His very existence. This act of defiance has profound implications. It reveals a heart that is far from God, a heart that has chosen to reject His love, His guidance, and His rightful place on the throne of our lives. The consequences of mocking God are far-reaching and profound, impacting not only our relationship with God, but also our relationships with others and our own spiritual well-being. Proverbs 19:29 reads, "Penalties are prepared for mockers, and beatings for the backs of fools." Let us examine the scriptures for examples of people mocking God, and to understand the gravity of mocking God and the importance of approaching Him with reverence and respect. Throughout the Bible, we find numerous examples of individuals who mocked God and faced severe consequences for their actions. These stories are not just historical accounts, but serve as timeless lessons for humanity. They remind us of the importance of humility and reverence toward the divine. One such example is found in the story of the Tower of Babel. This story is a powerful illustration of human pride and the futility of trying to challenge God's authority. In Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9, humanity, united in pride and arrogance, attempted to build a tower that would reach the heavens, a symbol of their defiance against God. They believed that by working together, they could achieve anything, even reaching the divine realm. Their actions were a clear act of mockery, a rejection of God's authority, and a declaration of their own self-sufficiency. They thought they could bypass the need for divine guidance and create their own path to greatness. God, in His infinite wisdom, saw their rebellion and scattered them, confusing their languages and thwarting their prideful ambitions. This divine intervention not only halted their project, but also served as a humbling experience for humanity. This account serves as a stark reminder that mocking God is never a wise or fruitful endeavor. It teaches us that no matter how advanced or united we may become, we are still subject to the will and authority of a higher power. Another example is the giant of Philistine, Goliath. When a small shepherd boy David confronted him, Goliath said to David, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he said, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." During his crucifixion, Jesus was mocked by Roman soldiers, Jewish leaders, and other people passing by while he was on the cross. Matthew 27:39-43 reads, "Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, 'You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God.'" In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. Another example is the incident of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, who refused to let the Israelites go to the Promised Land. Exodus 5:2 reads, "Pharaoh said, 'Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go,' thereby mocking God and challenging his authority. Mocking God is a dangerous path that leads only to separation from God and the frustration of our own desires. Instead, we should seek to align our actions with divine will, embracing humility and recognizing our place in the grand design of creation. When we mock God, we are not merely engaging in a trivial act of irreverence. We are, in fact, creating a significant rift between ourselves and the divine presence that sustains us. This act of mockery is more than just words or gestures. It is a profound spiritual misstep that distances us from the source of all goodness and truth. We create a chasm between ourselves and the divine, a gap that grows wider with each act of disrespect and irreverence. This chasm is not just a metaphorical distance, but a real spiritual separation that affects our soul's ability to connect with the divine. This separation has profound spiritual consequences. Firstly, it hinders our ability to hear God's voice. When we mock and scorn, we become spiritually deaf, unable to perceive the gentle whispers of divine guidance that are meant to lead us through life's challenges and towards our true purpose. When our hearts are filled with pride and disdain for the Almighty, we build walls around our souls. These walls block out the light of divine wisdom and love, leaving us in spiritual darkness. We close ourselves off from His gentle whispers, His loving guidance, and His life-giving truth. This self-imposed isolation leads to a life devoid of spiritual nourishment and growth. Secondly, mocking God stifles our spiritual growth. Just as a plant needs a nurturing environment to thrive, our spirits require a connection to the divine to grow and flourish. Just as a plant cannot thrive in a barren and hostile environment, so too our spirits cannot flourish when we harbor contempt and disrespect for our Creator. This spiritual barrenness leads to a life that is empty and unfulfilled. So too our spirits cannot flourish when we harbor contempt and disrespect for our Creator. This spiritual barrenness leads to a life that is empty and unfulfilled, devoid of the joy and peace that come from a close relationship with the divine. Finally, mocking God ultimately leads to spiritual death. This is not just a metaphorical death, but a real and profound loss of spiritual vitality and connection to the source of all life. When we persistently reject God, choosing to live in defiance of His will, we cut ourselves off from the very source of our being. This defiance leads to a life of spiritual emptiness and despair. Choosing to live in defiance of His will, we sever the very lifeline that connects us to Him. This severance is not just a loss of connection, but a loss of the very essence of life itself. We sever the very lifeline that connects us to Him, the source of our being and our hope. Without this connection, we are like a frayed rope, a broken bridge, unable to reach the other side of spiritual fulfillment, the source of our being and our hope. To restore this connection, we must turn away from mockery and embrace a life of reverence and humility, seeking to rebuild the bridge to the divine God. Please pause here to like, share, and subscribe to help grow the channel. I really appreciate your help. Let's continue. The Bible is replete with verses that warn against the dangers of mocking God and highlight the consequences of such behavior. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 22 to 33 speaks of the futility of scorning wisdom and instruction, ultimately leading to a life of regret and despair. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 reminds us that God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. These verses serve as sobering reminders that our actions have consequences, and that mocking God is a serious offense with eternal ramifications. Let us heed these warnings and choose to walk in reverence and obedience to our Creator. Mocking God stems from a place of pride, a belief that we are somehow above or beyond His authority. However, the Bible teaches us that pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall, Proverbs 16:18. True wisdom lies in recognizing our dependence on God, acknowledging His sovereignty, and approaching Him with humility and reverence. When we humble ourselves before God, we acknowledge our limitations, our need for His grace, and our willingness to submit to His will. This posture of humility opens our hearts to receive His love, His guidance, and His transforming power in our lives. The good news is that even if we have mocked God in the past, His grace is sufficient to cover our sins. God is a God of forgiveness, and He desires to restore our relationship with Him. If we confess our sins and turn away from our wicked ways, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. It is never too late to turn to God, to seek His forgiveness, and to begin living a life that honors and glorifies Him. Section 9. The foundation of respect. Honoring divine authority. Respecting God is not merely a matter of outward behavior. It is a heart attitude that should permeate every aspect of our lives. It is reflected in our words, our actions, our thoughts, and our motivations. When we truly respect God, we will strive to live in accordance with His will, seeking His guidance in all that we do. We will treat others with kindness, compassion, and respect, recognizing that they too are created in the image of God. Honoring God's authority is not a burden. It is a privilege and a joy. It is the path to true freedom, fulfillment, and lasting peace. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos like this one. Thank you and see you in my next video. Goodbye.